Hello, this is Jose Joe Fish Keeping. We're looking at my 60-gallon community cube tank. I have a bunch of small breed, this large Seal Point Angel, and two Sveni Geophagus that you see at the bottom there behind by the wood. Otherwise, it's small tetras, a mix of small barbs. But recently I had a pretty bad accident with Fluval FX6. Hopefully this video I'm going to show you 3 things that you can do to avoid problems with this filter, with this really amazing filter. In no way is this video meant to say anything negative about the FX6. The only thing that I can say is it is a very powerful filter, which is why most of us who choose to use it pay handsomely for it. It is an expensive filter, but it's, in my opinion, is worth every penny. I am not sponsored by Fluval or anybody else, but I did have an issue with the filter the other day. This tank is usually very busy. I like purposely keeping my tank overstocked, and this is a lot of activity here, a lot of colors and everything else. We came into the house, and my wife and daughters are usually the ones who notices there's something wrong with this fish, what's going on, and they're kind of my spotters. And she said there's a couple of dead fish on the bottom. And then when I look out, she said this tank looks pretty empty. So naturally what I did, it's also a large school of cardinals and a bunch of Odessa bar, always very active tank. So when I kind of look around, I noticed that the intake tube had come off, which is a lot of them wound up getting sucked into the tank. Lost a total of 47 of these fish, which really kind of empty out the tank a lot. This is a total of 47. 7 were at the bottom of the tank. The other ones were found inside the filter when I opened. These, I'm flashing the names of them and the total numbers that were lost. This is what the tank looked like before. On the early part of the video, which is same thing here. This is after. There's quite a difference those 47 fish made. So the tank looked very empty, not as active as I'm used to seeing it. So a few of the things that I had to do, one or two of them may be common or already practiced by a lot of you. If you have an FX6, hopefully this is to help new people who have not experienced these kind of problems. This is the FX series intake filter. Notice the arrows, the ridges, and encircle the area that this will slide in and lock into the little clips that are in here. This part of the tube, you notice there's a larger rubber that I've added, and I use some zip ties to hold the rubber snugly around the sponge filter. This one is by Aquarium Co-op. I also notice the holes there, which you probably, most of you are already doing. This is to make sure that the whole surface area of the filter gets done. After a while, especially when the sponge is, which takes a lot of dirt, gets loaded, it gets quite heavy and just easily slides off. I'm kind of helping it a little bit there because the sponge is already clean. I'll show you a video there of how much stuff in a few days comes off. Now these are, you can see that this part here just becomes very lax after a little while, and it just slides off, and this is what happened in this situation. At the time of this recording, the issue with the intake tube has already been corrected. One of the things that I generally do, and other people also do, is you could either take a bag, a plastic bag, but the bag kind of collapses as you get it under the water, but just catching, in this case I'm using this this disposable water pitcher here. I slide it under the, again, this is not a new trick to most of you, but I'm just showing the problem here. Now generally I would have just got my finger there and slide the whole tube down, but because I've already corrected the problem here, I'm just sliding the sponge out. So I'm still getting some of the crap that's there coming off, but most of it I can catch in the pitcher here. Now I just took this to the top. This filter, it's not a full week on it, but you can see the amount of stuff that normally will go into the filter. And one of the things that I love about the FX6, I've gone recently 8 months and 15 months with one. This stuff prolongs your service periods of any kind of filter, having a pre-filter or sponge. This one is not a full week yet, but you can see the amount of crap that comes out of it. On the discus tank, since I tend to overfeed, this sponge gets quite heavy, and the amount that comes out is incredible. After 1 week, I do clean the filters, the pre-filters, once a week. The pre-sponges can greatly improve the time between services of your canister filter. These 4 tabs in the intake tube become a little bit lax and they don't hold tightly into the other part of the tube that it slides into, and this has been really the source of the problem. What I did was apply some heat to the areas gently. I'm using here this craft gun that I obtained for another project. Carefully apply heat to the tabs, but they can melt easily. On one of them I used heat from the stove directly, and you can easily melt this. Just be careful. You can bend the tabs in and you can then get a tight hold of the tubes. Now it did get a little bit tighter than I was hoping, but better that than have the same disaster again. This heat gun, again, is what I use, but you could use either a lighter or anything that can soften the plastic to create the desired need. This is one of 3 media trays in the FX6 filter. The bottom mesh part there broke completely off. Although you can extend the time of full filter maintenance, but the fine filter media, generally you would replace it every 1 to 2 months depending on your situation. A lot of the times we determine when it needs to be changed based on decreased flow out of the filter. I was still seeing good flow coming out of this. Is on the discus tank when I decided just to do full maintenance on it, which was about 8-9 months at this point. The whole I noticed that it was flowing, but the whole bottom part have fallen off of the top tray. This red tray, I don't know about you, but I don't always use it. It has a coarse sponge on the top there. So what I did was I just created those grooves that you saw, and it did fit nicely into there. And those ridges at the bottom holds it in place. At least I was able to utilize that red tray, which is just basically sitting on the one of the cabinet. Since most people customize the media to their own liking, I was able to utilize that way and very quickly cancel my $50 replacement tray, since there's really, other than the bottom part, was really nothing wrong with it. These are some simple fixes that sometimes we come across, and the hobby is expensive enough. Those $50, I certainly use it for something else instead of buying for another tray that was otherwise in perfectly good condition with the fix. I hope you never have an accident like I did, and things happen. As fish keepers, we do lose fish, but I hope this will help somebody out there to either do maintenance on a regular basis so that your filter doesn't clog enough. These filters do offer you a tremendous service. Most canister filters are very good, but the FX6 is really an exceptional filter. And again, I'm not being paid, I'm not giving free products, but it is something that I use, and anything that I speak in my channel is because of personal experiences and my choices that have worked for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you are having a wonderful day when you see this. Thank you so much.